Welcome back. So here we are. We're in the last video, the fifth video for Module 5. We're going to deal with formatting. And we've dealt with formatting to a degree up to this point. Little bits of it. And we're going to deal with more. I'm hoping this one won't be as long as the last video was. But we're going to take as long as we have to take to get through this. As I said, this is one of the most comprehensive concepts, and we use it everywhere. So, with that said, the way the author breaks it down, there's three different ways that you can format strings. There's the old way, which is a really, really old way, Python 2 and 3. Or there's the new style, which is 2.6 and up, and then there's F strings. So there's three different ways that we can do things, and we're going to go through one by one, and some of these are very similar in other languages. So let's start out with old style, and that uses the percent symbol. Okay, now let me see if I can open this up and come up with these sequences. Here it's opening up for us. So here's the sequences. %S means it's a string. %D decimal integer. %X hex integer. Octagal. %F is a floating point. %E exponential floating point. G either decimal or exponential, and percent is literally a percent. Now, with that said, well, I didn't even have to click that, it just took us right down to here. Let's go look at some examples. And this kind of goes back to what, let me scroll up and talk about what this goes back to, what we were looking at before. No, it's actually further down. It was at the bottom where we were looking at it. Let me get us there. This right here. Remember this? Curly braces. 0, 1 implicitly. Took it. 1, 0 explicitly. This is a string with placeholders. The format function will put things in those placeholders. Let's go back up. And we're going to look at the percent symbol and what it does for us. %S, %42. So that displays it as 42. What was %S? As a string. As a decimal. So %D as a decimal, whatever you have after the percent, 42. Well, there is no decimal there, so you're only going to get 42. And in this instance, it doesn't even put it as 42.0. Just goes with whatever it's got. %X, we come up, hexadecimal integer, 2A. 42 is converted to hexadecimal 2A. And then we had %O, octal integer, that's 52. So from there, I'm going to take a float, which is 7.03, and we're going to change it into a string. We're good there. Change it into a decimal. Wow. It went out 6 places. Change it into the exponent. There it goes to the 0 power. Change it out, or out to what am I thinking? I can't even think of it right now. But that one goes out here exponentially and octa Octally. First time I've had to word that way. Now, if I said %d, %, percent %d means convert it to decimal. % means convert it to percentage symbol. Whatever's there, 100, well, there's nothing after it. Convert it to percentage. Okay. Now, this is something we see a lot. We'll use it quite a bit when getting precise with the formatting of output as money, as percentages, as whatever it may be. And this is in just about every language you will deal with. Okay. Let's look at an integer and kind of converting something into some other display. Right. So on this one, %s as a string. My wife's favorite character is, oh, wait a minute. If we think back to the curly braces, this is like a placeholder for whatever you find after the percentage. Make sense? There we go. My wife's favorite actor is %s. What's %s? We'll take whatever's in actor, treat it as a string. It concatenates all that together for us. %s, two strings. Implicitly, first one, second one. All right. We've dealt with the majority of all of this. Okay. Treat woodchuck, save woodchuck and thing. Woodchuck as a string, or I should say thing as a string. Well, that's woodchuck is in there. How about as a string? What's the 12 standing for? What do we get? Is that how many characters we get out of it? "12 characters. Positive 12. So with this one, it put an extra 5 up front and then put woodchuck. Put woodchuck and put 5 behind. The first 3 .3. 12 and then the first 3. $12 at the end following the first 3. %f is something that we'll use a lot, and they're variations of the floating decimal point. So when you see %f, just understand that it's ways to convert something to a precision point. Decimal notation. Thing equals 98.6. %f, take it out 6 places, and that was that default precision that we'd gone to. Make it a positive number, and go out 12. So we've got our 6. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. else do we have? 9, 8. And this one was 12 for the whole thing with the plus symbol up front. This one, 3 decimal points. 12 places, 3 decimal points. So 12 ahead of it. We're going to have, what, 6 here? So there's 6 up ahead. This one's start 12. So we've got 6. There's another 6 on the back side. And 3 decimal points. So we can add spaces in front of the number, spaces after the number. The 0.3 is how many decimal points. Most common, you'll do 0.2. Point D is going to be as an integer. Same kind of spacing that we dealt with above. You can't have 0.3 precision because it's an integer. There is no precision associated with it. And then we dealt with these curly braces already. Now, with that said, we're going to have much more than this that you'll deal with. Not so much in Python. We will deal with more stuff in Python, but we're going to deal with it as we get to different things on down the road. In other languages, we will expand into more depth, and that's not in this class, but if we were in Java or we were in C# or C++, we would use much more string formatting than what we see here. Okay. But keep in mind, it doesn't mean that Python is any less of a language. It's just lighter and more efficient. The other languages are bulkier, and there's much more power behind them, much more that you can do. Things that are built in that you may have to manually do in Python. An example of that is what we talked about before. A string in Python is immutable. You can't go change a character out unless you use some special functionality. You can't do it explicitly. You've got to go about it with some, say, replace function. Whereas in other languages, I can just go swap a character out, no worries in other languages. So there's things that we can and can't do in Python. Take your time in the notebook for Module 5. Play with this stuff. We will use this over and over again, and we will dig deeper when we get to the arrays and matrices in future chapter. Okay. So I'll see you in the next one.